Undefeated teams go down, a rookie quarterback makes his debut trying to help his team get their first win, and so much more went down in Week 4, and we're about to go over all the games this week in the Week 4 recap show. Let's get started. We're going to start, as always, with the Thursday night game. This one features the undefeated Jaguars and the Bengals, as Trevor Lawrence and Joe Burrow meet for the first time in the NFL. With this being a short week for both teams, the Bengals offense is looking to put a ton of points up on the board and put it out of reach quickly. The Jaguars, on the other hand, are hoping to limit the turnovers and not make their defense work too hard. The Jaguars only scored twice all game, and those came on field goals, while the Bengals' plans for scoring a ton of points goes exactly the way they wanted. Joe Burrow throws for 310 yards and 2 touchdowns, while both Joe Mixon and Fitzmagic get rushing scores. The Bengal defense also pitched in, picking off Trevor Lawrence twice while holding the rookie to 156 passing yards. Bengals win 34-6, and the Jaguars are no longer undefeated. The Cincinnati locker room was pumped after the huge win. Not only did the game plan work, but they were able to make sure there's one less undefeated team this season. Next up, we go to our first Sunday game on the schedule as the Titans come into New York to play the Jets. Rain is in the forecast for this one, but that's not going to stop the Titans. They want to throw the ball, so we'll see how this works for them. It ends up working really well, but so did everything else for the Titan offense for that matter. Ryan Tannehill throws for 3 touchdowns and 235 yards. Derrick Henry, the king himself, also runs all over the Jets defense for 164 yards and a touchdown. Tennessee wins handily, 44-10. Now we go on over to Philly, where the Chiefs are hoping to win their second in a row against the Eagles in the rain. Tyreek Hill had 197 receiving yards last week against the Chargers, and Demarcus Robinson met with Andy Reid and asked if he's ready to see him go off like that this week. Reid praised Robinson and believes he can do it as well and be another threat in this receiving corps. The Eagles know that despite the rain, they're going to have to prevent Mahomes from going off for 513 passing yards like he did last week. Nick Sirianni hopes that great coverage can be the key to the game plan in this one. Unlike the first 2 games in our recap, this one was actually much closer, with both teams getting a majority of their points on field goals. With the game tied at 9 late in the 4th, Pat Mahomes under pressure, he gets hit and loses the ball. It's picked up by Brandon Graham, and it looks like he's going to score it too, but the big fella runs out of gas at the Kansas City 10. The Chiefs hold and force a field goal, which gives Mahomes a little over a minute to respond. With 33 seconds left, Mahomes drops back and lets it fly way downtown, and he connects with his running back, Darrell Williams. His only catch of the day ends up being a 65-yard touchdown that gives the Chiefs the lead and the win, 16-12. Demarcus Robinson got injured in the game and wasn't able to make an impact. Luckily for the Chiefs, he won't miss any additional time barring an injury leading into the Week 5 game. Let's go on down to Jerry World as the Cowboys are at home playing against the Panthers. Dallas puts us back on the trend this week of scoring a boatload of points, as Dak Prescott has 360 yards and 4 touchdowns through the air, with 2 of his TD passes going to Michael Gallup. Zeke also does his part with a rushing touchdown and 98 yards on 23 carries. The Cowboys do it big and win 48-24. Continuing our trip down south, let's go to New Orleans now as the Saints play host to the Giants. New York keeps it close, trailing at the half 14-9, but in the second half, still trailing 24-12 with 3:54 left in the game. Saquon Barkley makes it a little more interesting as he fights his way in on the ground, making it 24-19. New Orleans would go down and kick another field goal to extend the lead out and make the 27-19 win look a little bit better. Now on up to Minnesota, where the Browns are hoping to keep the points flowing against the Vikings after scoring 31 last week on the Bears. Browns linebacker Anthony Walker Jr. feels like he's been put in a great position lately to make plays. He's hoping his play today can help him take another step to being a star in the league. For the second week in a row, everything clicks for Cleveland as the offense has their way. Baker Mayfield throws 3 touchdowns, one to Odell Beckham Jr., one to Kareem Hunt, and another to Jarvis Landry. Nick Chubb also adds 136 yards on the ground and a score as the Browns win their second in a row, 38-7. Despite the big game from the Browns offense, Anthony Walker Jr. was not able to do his part to make sure his goal was met, so, for now anyway, he'll have to continue to work on his game. The old NFC rivalry is renewed as the Lions come into Soldier Field to face the Bears. The big story coming into this one is Khalil Mack. He met with Coach Matt Nagy and said that he's disgruntled with how the team is playing and is considering retirement or a trade if that's possible. As far as the game goes, the Bears were dominating this one 25-9, but midway through the fourth quarter, the Lions started to make a comeback. On second and goal, Jared Goff throws this ball to a wide-open TJ Hawkinson in the end zone, and it's an easy touchdown. The lead shrinks a bit now as 25-15 after a failed 2-point conversion. Lions would get the ball back and get down to the Bears' 4. On first and goal, Goff fires to the back of the end zone, and Rashad Perryman is able to tippy-toe the back line and make the catch for 6. It's now 25-22. The valiant effort falls short though, and the Bears are able to hold on and win 25-22. In Buffalo, Josh Allen has a phenomenal day passing. 312 yards and 2 touchdowns from him, in combination with the Bills' defense holding Houston to just 230 total yards, allow the Bills to pick up their first win on the year, stampeding the Texans 28-3. Miami has all the fun in the sun as their defense makes life miserable for Carson Wentz, forcing him to throw 3 interceptions, one of them being a pick 6 to Byron Jones. The Colts do score once in the fourth quarter, but the Dolphins make it look easy, winning 29-7 over the Colts. The Washington football team enters week 4 undefeated at 3-0 and face the Atlanta Falcons looking to make it 4 wins in a row. Atlanta explodes for 21 points in the first quarter, while Washington's able to keep pace with 14 of their own and enter halftime all tied at 21. With time winding down in the third, Ryan Fitzpatrick hits Logan Thomas on the out route. He dives in the end zone and gives Washington their first lead of the game, and that gives Fitzpatrick 4 TDs in the game. Washington now late in the fourth have the ball on Atlanta's 4. Fitzpatrick this time hits Curtis Samuel for his 5th passing touchdown on the day, and from there, they'd go on to win 35-21. Ryan Fitzpatrick throws for 483 yards and 5 touchdowns on the game. Curtis Samuel has 221 receiving yards to go along with 2 touchdowns as well, all on 9 catches. A NFC West rivalry renews for the first time this season, as the Seahawks go on the road to face the 0-3 49ers, who have a new starting quarterback. This week it's their number 3 overall pick in this past year's draft, Trey Lance. One of the big stories for Seattle though, is that their lifer Bobby Wagner is frustrated with the team's play so far this season. If the losing continues, there's word that he could request a trade or retirement. Along with that news, Pete Carroll in a press conference earlier in the week took the opportunity to talk a bit trash about the 49ers, saying he's not worried about their star tight end George Kittle, he's just concerned with smashing his rivals this week. That's a bold strategy, folks. Let's see how it plays out. The 49ers must have heard what Coach Carroll said, because they came out and immediately forced Russell Wilson into 2 turnovers, one being an interception by Jaquiski Tartt. The interception would turn into the first passing touchdown in Trey Lance's career, as he hits Deebo Samuel, who turns on the Jets down the sideline and scores. The early momentum allows San Fran to head to the locker room up 21-7. In the fourth quarter, however, Seattle makes their move. Down 2 scores with 2 minutes left, Wilson unloads a bomb downfield to Tyler Lockett, who mosses Jason Verrett and gets into the end zone, making it 21-14. Seahawks have the ball back with 1:30 remaining in the game now. Wilson once again lets it fly, and Lockett brings it in. No, huddle they go. Quickly gets set here and Wilson finds Will Dissly wide open, and the tight end fights his way in for 6 and ties the game, as this one would head into overtime. The 49ers only get a field goal on their opening drive, so the Seahawks look to respond. On 4th and 9, they need this to keep their hopes alive. Wilson throws up a prayer way down the field. He gets tipped around in the air and caught by Tyler Lockett, who takes it into the end zone for the game-winning touchdown. Seattle comes back down 21-7, 4 interceptions from Russell Wilson, and spoils the debut of Trey Lance to win 27-24. The trash talk almost didn't pay off, but the Seahawks did achieve their goal this week, and Coach Carroll gave the praise to his players in the post-game presser. It was a statement win for sure, a different kind, but a win is a win, and that's what matters most in these rivalry games. From a very intense game in San Francisco, we now go a few hours to Los Angeles, where the no longer undefeated Cardinals hoping to bounce back from their loss last week to the Jaguars with a win this week against the Rams. For the Rams, edge rusher A'Shawn Robinson is feeling fired up coming into the game, and he wants to take the next step to stardom. With a good game today, he can do just that. The Cardinals come out of the locker room on a mission and lead 12-0, all from field goals though. That all changes here as Matthew Stafford throws an interception to Malcolm Butler. He takes it 62 yards to the house for the Cards to go up 19-0, and from there, they'd go on to shut out LA on their home field and win 26-0. Despite the loss, A'Shawn Robinson did what he set out to do, and who knows, maybe we'll be talking about him as a star player in the league soon. We saw our Packers remain undefeated, beating the Steelers 27-6 to knock the Steelers out from the land of the undefeateds. Aaron Rodgers has a down day yardage-wise in the rain, only throwing for 166 yards, but he did throw 3 touchdown passes, one to Randall Cobb, one to Devontae Adams, and the other to Robert Tonyan. Another team looking to remain undefeated is the Baltimore Ravens. At 3-0, they have to go into Mile High Stadium in Denver to keep their streak alive. Sources say Von Miller met with head coach Vic Fangio and informed him that he's not having fun right now. Word is he's going to talk to his agent about a trade and seeing what's out there for him. He doesn't want to retire, but he also wants to try and win another Super Bowl. In addition to that, the Broncos had to try and stop Lamar Jackson. Coach Fangio told reporters that he's going to try and negate Jackson's scrambling this week, as he believes that's the best course of action to slow him down. The Ravens took a 10-6 lead into the locker room in a game that Denver has hung around in so far. If you hang around long enough, good things will happen, and on this 3rd and 9, Teddy Bridgewater throws a dart to the end zone that's brought in by the strong hands of Tim Patrick. And it gives the Broncos the lead for the first time since the first quarter, 13-10. Now in the 4th, Denver kicks a field goal to go up 19-16, leaving Jackson in the offense 1 minute and 9 seconds to answer back. On 4th and 5 to stay alive, Jackson throws his ball short to Mark Andrews. He makes the catch, but can't stay in bounds to turn upfield. It's a turnover on downs, and from there, the Broncos would close the door and get their first win on the season, 19-16, pulling off a huge upset. They hold Lamar to just 132 passing yards and 46 yards on the ground and a score, while Teddy Bridgewater puts in a great performance, 241 passing yards and a touchdown, with Tim Patrick getting 138 receiving yards and the lone touchdown from Bridgewater. In the post-game interview, Coach Fangio praised his defense for being able to contain Lamar in the way they did. He knows Jackson isn't the easiest player in the league to stop, but they did enough to pick up their first win on the year. In the Sunday night game, Tom Brady returns home to where he spent a majority of his career to New England, where he faces the Patriots, this time as a member of the Buccaneers. While that storyline is important, word out of the Bucs camp is that they feel like Leonard Fournette is poised for a breakout game, and if he can put one together, we could be talking about him taking the next step in his development to being a star in the league. Brady's Bucs come out and decimate the Patriots in Foxborough. Tampa Tom throws for 434 passing yards and 2 touchdowns, while Mike Evans has a big night, going for 101 receiving yards and catching one of those touchdown passes from Brady. Fournette also adds a score on the ground and finishes with 105 combined rushing and receiving yards as the Bucs win by a large margin, 44-10. With the big game from Fournette, he's definitely taken the next step to being a star in the league. And on the Patriots side of things, the rookie from Alabama, Mac Jones, has been given the nod to start the next game for them. Which means we've come to the Monday night contest, and it's an AFC West one between the Raiders and the Chargers, with the Chargers playing host in the first meeting of the season, and still searching for their first win as well. The Raiders defense has been playing well lately. I was told that corner Trayvon Mullen had a meeting with Coach Hackett, and he issued a challenge to his corner and the entire defense. He wants them to force 2 turnovers against the Chargers in this game. This was a tale of 2 halves, as during the first it was all Las Vegas. They scored 21 points, including this pass to Zay Jones, showing off his fancy footwork, keeping him bound to go up 21 late in the second quarter. The second half rolls around and it's all Chargers, but it's not enough as a lone touchdown comes from Austin Eckler in the fourth. Eckler finishes with 61 yards on the ground and the 1 rushing touchdown as the Chargers shut out the Raiders in the second half, yet the Raiders do just enough to keep them out of the win column for one more week as they win 21-13. Now it's time to take a look at standings here in week 4, and we're going to start in the AFC North with the Steelers and Ravens both losing this week. It's now a 3-way tie for first with the Steelers, Ravens, and Browns all 3-1. Bengals in last place at 2-2. In the AFC South, the Jaguars and Titans are jockeying for first place at 3-1, while the Colts and Titans are both tied at 1-3. In the AFC East, it's all Dolphins right now at 3-1, with the Patriots, Bills, and Jets all 1-3. In the AFC West, the Chiefs, atop the division right now at 3-1, Raiders 2-2, Broncos 1-3, and the Chargers are 0-4. Over to the NFC North, and our Packers, still undefeated, is still in first place at 4-0. Bears behind them at 2-2, and the Lions and Vikings are in last place right now at 1-3. In the NFC South, the Buccaneers also undefeated at 4-0 in first place. Saints right behind them though at 3-1. Falcons are 2-2, and the Panthers are 1-3. In the NFC East, the football team of Washington are 4-0 undefeated. Cowboys 3-1 right behind them, and the Eagles and Giants are tied at 1-3. And finally in the NFC West, the Cardinals are in first place at 3-1, Seahawks in second at 2-2, Rams 1-3, and the 49ers still winless, 0-4. Now it's time to see who brings home some hardware this week, and it's time to give out the Player of the Week awards for week 4. Let's start in the AFC, and it's the young Bills quarterback Josh Allen getting the offensive portion this week. He was efficient in the win over the Texans, 25-29, with 312 yards and 3 passing touchdowns. A great game from a rising star at the position. On the defense, it's Chiefs edge rusher Taco Charlton. He racked up 5 tackles, 4 being for a loss. All of them were sacks on Jalen Hurts. In a defensive game like that one was, you need players to step up, and Charlton was that guy. In the NFC on offense, it's Ryan Fitzpatrick getting his second award of the season. He was here back in week 1. Once again, we got to experience some Fitzmagic as he threw for 5 touchdowns and 483 yards as Washington is still undefeated due to his performance. The defensive award this week goes to Panthers corner Dante Jackson. Despite the loss to the Cowboys, the former LSU Tiger had himself 2 interceptions of Dak Prescott, one of them being a touchdown. He also got 7 tackles as well, showing that even in defeat, you can still have a great showing. Congrats to all the players winning the awards this week. Now it's time for our first rookie spotlight section of the season, as the college season is in full swing. First, let's start with the quarterback position, and we're talking about Brett Martin. Martin has been patiently waiting since his freshman season to start, and even deferred other options like transferring. It's been a dream of his to play for the Fighting Irish, and so far, he's making the most of his starts this season. As of now, Martin is projected to be a first or second round selection, as the now number 4 ranked quarterback in a strong class, highlighted by Spencer Devine from Michigan. The next two stories aren't of the feel-good variety, unfortunately, and both come from the Ohio State University. First, cornerback Jabari Meeks suffered a torn ACL in this week's game against Rutgers, and his season is over. So teams will need to reevaluate some things, I'm sure, as Meeks was the number 6 corner in the class. Finally, the top cornerback for Ohio State, Uriel McNeil, has been dismissed from the team due to academic issues. We all know that a student first, athlete second, so it's always a shame to hear these stories, so we just have to hope McNeil is able to get the help he needs off the field so his grades can improve, but for now, he's no longer on the Ohio State football team. Now let's preview our game next week. The Packers are still undefeated and will go on the road to face the 2-2 Bengals in Cincinnati. The Bengals have the number 4 defense in the NFL, and we saw how well our Packers did against the number 1 defense of the Steelers last week. Will it be a repeat performance? We'll find out. Leave your predictions down in the comments below. Let's bring this on home, shall we? Here are some things to look forward to in week 5 of the NFL. There's only 3 undefeated teams left: the Bucs, Washington, and our Packers. How many will be standing after week 5 is over? On the opposite end of the spectrum, there's only 2 winless teams left in San Francisco and the Chargers. Will either of them get a win? And finally, which disgruntled veteran will move first? We covered a few of them in the recap show: Bobby Wagner, Von Miller, and Khalil Mack. Which, if any, will be moved this week? Leave your thoughts on these questions down below as well. I'd love to hear from you. And with that, the week 4 recap show comes to a close. Thank you all so much for watching. I really appreciate it. These take a long time to make. So if you enjoyed or made it this far, please leave a like. It helps, it goes a long way to help these videos get seen, and it helps me grow too. If you're new here, join the B team, subscribe, and hit that bell. For those already subbed, I thank you so much for your continued support. Until next week, you guys, you know what to do. Stay on the channel, watch some more videos, and keep on shining, and keep on grinding. I will see you all with a Orioles franchise episode next week.